You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 4th of June 2025.
Welcome to Celtic Ligers.
I'm Gareth.
James, the only real politics podcast on this fucking island.
It genuinely is. I was watching something there that was making me pure aggravated, which is did you know I'm obsessed with this show. I shouldn't even be talking about it. You know the Tonight Show on Virgin Media with Kieran Cuddihy as host.
Yeah.
They had John McGuirk on last night.
Yes.
And let me read you the
our peer.
Yeah, our peer.
I remember you talking about a fellow journalist here. So,
yeah, so be careful. Be careful. Here's what he was talking. Here's what the topics of the thing. Okay, bail law reform after Carlow shooting, and then the aftermath of the scrapped IPAS centre in Coolock.
Great. It's great to have the most racist man in Ireland's input on the IPAS centre.
Yeah, and I'll tell you some of the panelists. So it's John McGuirk. Let me get these names up here. Adele McGinley, who I think might be, I don't know her. Trina O'Connor, not familiar with her. Then Matt Carthy, TD.
Yes.
Yeah.
God Squad.
So
the dream team.
I'm going to read the highlights of it that they put up on this from John McGuirk talking about the entire concept of community engagement is laughable, says John McGuirk, speaking on the Coolock protests a year on. And then there's a clip that I don't want to play for us. And then Matt Carthy says, nobody either would deny that the international protection system is nobody either would deny that the international protection system is largely dysfunctional.
I saw Derek after the Carlow thing. Derek Bly put up a thing. Yeah, and it was like, you should all be very sort of like there's been a mass. He said there was a mass shooting in Carlow, and it was light on the details. You know, who did it? You know, some chap.
They revealed his name. He's They also, by the way, when they put out the release straight away, they were like, "He's white Irish. He's white Irish."
Oh yeah,
like,
I saw. Thomas Lawrence put up a thing, because they were like, "He's white Irish," and all the comments were like, "Oh, now you've mentioned the race."
Yeah.
He was like, "I wonder why."
Yeah, it's precisely because of people like you that blew up Dublin City on 23rd of November 2023 that we now have to do this sort of stuff. Okay?
No. That wasn't them. That was some other chaps. That was
yeah, although they still. So the other thing that Derek Bly was trying to say was like that the guards were like, and I think he like drove down to Carlow and they were basically like, oh, the guards are being really hush and they covered it up. They don't want us to know his race. I wonder fucking why. And then all of a sudden they go, he's white Irish. And it's like, oh, really? So now it's important to say what race. It was like, you were the one saying you need to know this because, whatever, fucking hell.
Yeah, it's funny to imagine Derek Bly turning up, being like, I'll take it from here. He was black. That's all the case. It was that fella.
Try and find. Let me get his name released. Fitzgerald Carlow. That's the sound of my laptop. Evan Fitzgerald, 22, had a fascination with firearms, says the Irish Times.
Say the least, says you.
I think he was in something. He was on bail. Yeah, he had been on bail for over a year as he awaited trial on charges relating to possessing 2 guns, ammunition for a wide range of firearms, and explosive powders.
I do like how easily preventable some of the crimes in Ireland are. You know what I mean? It's like, his job is obsessed with guns and shooting. It's like, we'll put him on bail for a year. You know what I mean? Like, we'll let him have the guns. He'll miss them when he's in prison. We'll give him
I'm just going to point out who our Garda Commissioner is again, and also say, do you think society has become more functional in the past? I'm just saying. I'm just observing things. I'm not implying even anything.
He is an English asset, you know?
Yeah.
Like, without a shred of a doubt. Drew Harris is an English asset. And I wouldn't put it beyond him that he's destabilising Ireland. Think about how good Ireland was before he came.
Yeah.
You know?
It was great.
Everything worked.
Yeah. People weren't coming in and taking advantage of their welfare systems. I'm trying to find this, but they basically interviewed this American couple after... Yeah, here we go. A tourist from South Carolina who was in the Fairgreen shopping centre. Yeah?
They're like, we better ask the Americans about this.
I know. Yeah. They'd know. Their 3-week-old baby and his partner's mother at the time of the shooting described how the shooter walked straight past him holding a gun. My partner had gone up to the restrooms on the second floor of the shopping centre and she was nursing the baby, so I went back downstairs to find my partner's mother to help her pay for something in Tesco, he recalled. As I walked back up the stairs to the restrooms to wait for my partner, a white young man walked past me holding a gun. I went straight up the stairs to quickly find my partner, and she said she had spoken to the shooter and he had said to her, "You better leave now, it's going to get very loud soon."
Wow. Also, he left the mother.
Yeah.
His wife was upstairs and his mum was paying for his groceries.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You finish paying for them." And he goes
that
upstairs.
did happen, yeah.
And it's like, that's married life, you folks.
Hey, oh no, my mother-in-law might be a victim in a mass shooting. Hey, every guy's dream scenario, am I right?
Yeah.
So here's the other part, sorry. I knew it was a real gun, so I got my partner and the babe and we ran to the security office. So actually, not only did he do that, but he...
Mother-in-law banging on the window.
We banged on the door and begged and pleaded for them.
There's only room for two on the baby.
I like to put my feet up. We banged on the door and begged and pleaded for them to let us into the office. The security guard opened the door and myself, my partner and my baby were able to get inside to hide from the shooter, and we started barricading the door. We then heard
Yeah. Your mother-in-law's still out there. She might get in.
And I told him, sure, isn't that only any husband's dream scenario? As I was nailing, like... We then heard approximately 5 or 6 gunshots. During the shooting, my partner's mother, who was still downstairs, ran in... This is good, actually. I mean, maybe we shouldn't be laughing given how recent it is, but he ran and dove behind the counter of the coffee shop in the centre of the Fairgreen across the... Oh, God. As an American, the man said that he is used to gun violence in America, but never expected to find himself in this situation in Ireland. He added that he is likely to never visit Ireland again because of what he witnessed.
Thank God. One less tourist.
And then it'd be like, isn't that where your mother-in-law lives? So I was like, hey, you know.
Yeah.
I'll show you this clip now. Show you the one that I was getting annoyed about. But I just look at McGuirk's face while this is happening. This is just the most aggravating fucking thing.
But we do have an issue around, deprivation in this country, inequality in this country. We should be able to do more. We should be able to do it all. We are a country that is awash with money. We can invest in our services. We can invest in infrastructure. We can invest in green spaces for people. We can invest. We need investment in community development. We need investment in youth services. And these are all part of the fabric of society that kind of will inoculate actually against the far right. That actually brings people on board and brings us all together. And
when you talk, it sounds to me like you care more about inoculating people against the far right than you care about those communities. And you say you've got representatives around the country. Your organisation is taxpayer funded. You represent the government. represent the government's agenda. You don't represent local communities. And it always comes back to this. We need to inoculate people against the far right. What do you mean? Against the reality that they're facing in their communities? Against the reality of a town that's seeing its largest employer shuttered and its population doubled overnight while those services are taken away. There is enormous...
My population doubling all night, you know what I'm saying?
This is a panel. And I'm not having a go at you, Kieran, but you see this on media show after media show after media show. 73% of people in this country say in opinion polls, immigration is too high, it has been too high for too long, and we can't cope with it. And yet every panel on every media show tends to be overloaded with the same kind of voices from the same state-funded, taxpayer-funded, left-wing organisations pretending to speak for the public when you've got no mandate.
I think John's living under a rock. I think last year, didn't we see that the main issues around the election were in relation to housing and the cost of living?
Sorry, but John's quoting opinion polls as well. I mean, when he's living under a rock, he's right that over 70% of people say that it's too high. And what's more, actually, the two main government, and with all due respect to that, the two main government parties re-elected have kind of agreed with John. They wouldn't say this out loud, but, I mean, they're parroting the same lines that he and his fellow travellers might have been suggesting a couple of years ago. The numbers are too high and we have to take measures to reduce them. That there's no other way to interpret what the government have done in terms of adding countries to the safe lift and more checklists on the border and deportation flights. That's an acknowledgement from the two big parties in this state.
That's insane that he's just agreed with John McGuirk. He's just be quiet. John McGuirk's right.
I know, like, the whole thing is, like, he's meant to be like, I see myself as a kind of a Piers Morgan type figure where we get people from different extremes, but he's also like Piers Morgan in that he tends to agree with the most extreme position a lot of the time. And although I will say that Piers Morgan has been more adamant against I think he's more, I don't know whether he's calling it a genocide, but he's definitely been more willing to call out Israeli hypocrisy and all this. I think his show has been decent enough, even though he said, I'm still a Zionist. But in the last week, which it's definitely something we're going to have to get into, they've also changed their opinion on Israel, and I wonder fucking why. I wonder if there's some verdict from the ICJ or the ICC coming that means that certain people now have to look like they were against something. We'll park that for later on. The point is that Kieran Cuddihy is like, I do think that he leans right, and I think that he's anti-immigrant, but I think that I think he's basically one of those common sense guys, you know, and he'll on this debate he'll be trying to provoke a discussion by saying these things, but it's kind of like looking at like how did we get here, but by people who were like this, do you know?
Yeah, but even like within the realm of the conversation they're having, she's going, people need more services and more support, and then he's like, oh yeah, but the polls show that people say that we can't support immigrants. Her point is that there are ways to support communities and immigration.
Yeah,
like, that's what she's saying, whereas he's just going, no.
He's saying that like all these polls are saying that people feel like we're being bombarded by migrants, and then she's like, well, actually polls are saying that people care about housing and health, okay? And then he's like, well, actually no, let's go back to the polls that John was quoting where he says that people feel like we're bombarded by migrants. And again, it's like going back, they feel like we are. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's reflective of reality. And even if it is even if we are experiencing more migrants coming in, the argument still stands from her that we should be like, the services should be there to support everybody. We shouldn't be talking about like cutting people out,
Yeah.
Or acting like that they're the reason that the services are, under strain or pressure. You know? Anyway.
And like as a country, we've already done the cut people out thing. Like it'll never just stop with other stuff. It never stops with one group. Like if you bring in some sort of like austerity on migrants, that just gets spread to austerity on everybody. You know what I mean? Again, like it's not going to be like, oh, well, they banned immigration, so their life is good. It'll just be like, they banned immigration, so now they're like treating the ordinary person like they used to treat migrants. Do you get
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. No, this is it. It's all like, going back to my catchphrase of the moment, everything is Israel now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's testing out kind of brutal forms of, what's a public warfare? What would you call it if it's like, austerity harnessed against people?
Do they say that like fascism is
Capitalism protecting itself, or capitalism in decline is another one.
yeah, but it's also imperialism turned inwards,
Yeah.
So it's like the way that empires treated colonies. Now they treat their countrymen. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's just if your answer isn't like increase services, if it's crack down on migrants, you're going to be cracked down on yourself as well.
Yeah. There's two things that I want to quote in relation to that then. I found this piece about Michael McDowell. He's got like a book coming out, I believe. But I found out about this piece because of a letter that was sent into the Irish Independent giving out about a passage in it. Maybe that would be worth reading as well. But I thought I'd read this passage. Listen to this. It was Michael McDowell who said that the PDs had to be either radical or redundant, but he rejects the idea that the party, which was in coalition 4 times between 1989 and 2006, was Thatcherite in its outlook. He says, it wasn't Thatcherism, that was the whole point. Thatcher made the famous statement that there is no such thing as society. Well, of course there is. Thatcher blew her revolution by going to extremes. I was like, that feels really politically illiterate to me, to be like, would you look at the world that we live in now and think that Thatcher lost? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like didn't Varadkar call himself a Thatcherite?
Yeah, he said, he basically. But the next part, this is the key in his relation to what McGuirk said. McDowell's campaigns typically featured strong attacks on left-wing politics, something he saw as a necessary corrective, particularly given the media landscape of the time. So here's this, listen to this fucking beautiful quote, all right? The left in Ireland was quite strong, he says. One of the things I find fascinating is the denial of the influence of the far left in Irish journalism. I mean, we know about their infiltration of RTE, but RTE even now never admits that. The Workers' Party had a vice-like grip on current affairs at RTE. Mary McAleese was driven out of RTE for not being sufficiently left-wing. These weren't Pat's Rabbit-style socialists we're talking about. They were Stalinists.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
These weren't Pat Rabbit style socialists. These were Stalinists.
Yeah. I just thought, like, when McGuirk was going, like, we have these panels are populated by far left ideologues who are talking about, like, we need to take in more migrants and we have all the fucking money in the world, and they're ignoring the real problem. I was like, I don't know how you could think that. Looking at like the past few years where like when Katie Hannon was doing the lead up to the general election, they were like, oh, we're going to have the 10 leaders up here to talk about the issues, okay? And then there's the general issues, and then there's the 2 key issues. And the 2 key issues, one is housing and the other one is migration. And we're talking about migration non-stop. And it is like, Cudahy's right in one way, which is like, well, the government of the day has adopted that. And I was like, yeah, they've adopted far-right position on immigration, Yeah. But like, why did they adopt like a far-right position on immigration and be like, don't worry, we hear you, we see you, we're going to deport anybody who you think looks foreign. And yet they're not doing anything like that with housing. And they're not doing that because clearly, they're like, we feel much more comfortable punishing migrants than we do actually doing anything about housing, because it doesn't benefit our interests,
Yeah. I suppose it's just an argument that works for McGuirk. You know what I mean? Like, it's an easy way. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if he believes it or not. It's just like he gets to go on, and even though he lives on these panel shows, he's always on them. He gets to go, oh, well, it's far left, and they own the whole thing. It's an easy way to scaremonger. And then, like, Cudahy's is just, I don't know, like, he just seems cowed by that immediately. Like, McGuirk is like, it's just too far left. McGuirk, or Cudahy butts in with some other like anti-immigration right-wing bullshit. You know what I mean? It's almost like, well, yeah, it just seems like when they go, this thing isn't far right enough. They try to prove that they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if you were to be like, this isn't far left enough, they'd be like, good. Like,
yeah, absolutely. It's not like she'd be saying all this stuff that's verifiable through stats and whatever, and that Cudahy would be going, well, you know, McGuirk, she does have a point, doesn't she? Well, this thing, that, and the other. Like, the one that's common sense, the thing that's never questioned is that, like, well, obviously we do have a problem with immigration, and the way it's sustained is by saying that people feel like we have a problem with immigration, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
about the, what was it, Socialist Party have a grip on RTE.
Yeah.
Was that it?
The Workers' Party. That's what McDowell said.
It just never made any sense to me. Like, you don't...
I think it was Owen Harris. It was Owen Harris who said that before.
Yeah. And he was in the Workers' Party, wasn't he?
Well, like McGuirk, he's been in every fucking party in Ireland, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think he even did he wrote a speech for the DUP, you know what I mean?
I think it was the UUP.
Oh, okay.
But, which is nearly as bad.
So he's in the Workers' Party, then he was in Sinn Féin, then he was in Fianna Fáil, then he was in Fine Gael, then he was in the UUP. Or, like, basically, I wouldn't say he was in them, but he's, like, orbiting all of them. And it's like, how can you contain that many contradictions? Except by, like, design. Like, as in, well, then I get paid money. The difference between this and McGuirk is that McGuirk is, like, a true believer. He wants all of these migrants gone. And he doesn't care, like, violently gone. I don't know whether... it is funny with Cudahy as well, because his kind of the way he's saying is like, well, like John and his lot, he said something to that effect, like John and his guys have been saying this for years, his fellow travellers, I think he referred to them as, and it almost seemed to be saying, well, John and his fellow Nazis have said this for ages, and now the public is of similar opinion to them, and the government has adopted it, and that idea isn't terrifying to Cudahy, or we don't wonder, like, how the fuck did this happen? It's like, that's the opinion. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do about it. It's not like I influence what people think by just talking about the same fucking thing morning, noon, and night. You know?
Yeah. It really is with these journalists that they want all the respect and none of the responsibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why are you having a far right John McGuirk on at all? Like,
unless you think that he's presenting a legitimate position that needs to be like debated opposite somebody else. But look, what they'll do is they'll have fucking John McGuirk on, and then like this woman obviously was doing her. I think she performed admirably. I'm not saying she did her best, but she didn't really succeed. You got like an entire. You got John McGuirk, and then you have like Matt Carthy, who's like, well, only half of what John is saying is true. You know?
Yeah.
So, well, obviously I believe in what John is saying, but I don't believe in it in the way that makes me look like a Nazi, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like... So think about all the people on that panel. I mean, I don't know what the other one's like, the other lady's like. She might be all right as well. But I just don't think that there's anybody who has the same profile as McGuirk and Carthy who are putting forward a positive case for migration, you know? Like, when he scoffs at that lady, it's meant to be like, look at this fucking blue hair, green hippie who thinks that all these, like, there's a dismissive tone to it. And, you know, Cudahy is like responding to that, where it's like, yeah, no, it would be nice, wouldn't it, to have loads of money, but unfortunately we don't, despite what you're saying. And, you know, the people have spoken, they hate migrants, so what's your solution to that, you know? Like,
yeah, so what I'm currently trying to tell you my solution,
which is invest in services. And they're like, well, obviously not that, so what's the alternative? And it's like, well, I love that thing where it's like you present an answer and they go, okay, not that, so now another answer. And then you go, well, that is the answer. Well, if you don't have another answer, then I guess there's no answer. And it's like,
will you give a less blue hair answer, please? Because their position is so moderate. It's like increased services. And, there's like, that is the most batshit crazy communist thing I've ever had in my life.
I know.
You know? Does it make more sense just to shoot them?
It doesn't make more sense to, like, you know, throw them into the sea. Really?
Yeah.
We got a lot of sea in Ireland. We could put them in. I wanted to also bring it up in relation to, I've made this subheading here called Rogue Irish Government, okay? Where the government that didn't campaign on any of these things and is still doing them anyway, okay? Doing all the things that people don't want them to do. We should obviously be leading up to the occupied territories, but the watered down version of the occupied territories bill. But the two things I wanted to highlight here, or three, I guess.
Just give me one second before I get into this.
Okay. I'm going to talk about Doctor Who while James is away.
Yeah, let's do it.
So actually, while James is away, before he comes back, I have a podcast called Wholistic, Doctor Who podcast, Doctor podcast. All right, there's only one mic, it's only one voice. While James is away, I have a Doctor Who podcast called Wholistic with patron of the show, Enda, friend of the show, Enda, although he does also give me money, but you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And if you think I don't really like Doctor Who, then it mightn't be the podcast for you, but there is one episode about the Eurovision, which is the Interstellar Song Contest episode, well worth a listen. And if you are a fan of the show, then you'll enjoy hearing all about the season finale of Doctor Who. James is back. Okay. Now, so Rogue Irish Government. This is the subheading. Listen to this headline, okay?
Okay.
This headline is for RTE. It says, Taoiseach to seek cabinet approval for EU-Canada trade deal legislation. Now, that's actually what we in the biz know as CETA.
Now, I could be wrong with that.
So, Paul Cunningham writes, the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement is a deal reached between the EU and Canada which requires the backing of Parliament across all the EU member states to be fully operational. And the reason it is controversial is because, let me get up the thing. Did he write about it? Did he write about it?
It has the courts. It has the trade courts.
I want to figure out the name for them again. Basically, I can't remember the exact name, but there are courts which essentially mean, the investor courts, that's it. However, opposition parties are concerned that CETA contains a system of investor state courts, which they argue will have serious negative ramifications on national regulation as it sets up a court outside our own domestic system. He doesn't really go on to elaborate, but basically if a company's profits are affected, then they can take the government to court to get like some bits of whatever.
Yeah,
so right?
like, say you made Baby Bells.
Yeah.
And then they made it illegal to make wax or something, make the red wax thing on the outside.
Yeah.
Baby Bell could sue whoever, Ireland, I guess.
Well, a lot of people are talking about it in relation to climate goals that we
too,
might have.
As well as
and
the
then,
Baby Bell.
And the housing as well.
As well as that.
Yeah.
So the Baby Bells...
Yeah.
The Baby Bells, the housing, the climate.
Yeah.
Those are
the three pillars that the opposition have taken. It was controversial back in 2021 when they tried to like rush it through, and then eventually it was held up, I believe, by Lynn Boylan and Patrick Costello, who was a Green Party TD, who ended up getting the whip the whip removed because of court cases that they took against it.
He got completely suspended from the party.
No, he didn't.
Did he not? Was that for another thing? Remember, he sued them.
No, he sued he put a case against CETA saying it was unconstitutional. And I think it held it up, but like he was simply suspended. He was never. I remember him being in the party all the way up until the end. He ran as a Green Party TD.
But didn't he get suspended from the party? I'm going to look this up. What's his name?
Patrick Costello.
Do you ever hear that thing about chatting to people online?
No, that's a different guy. What are you talking about?
I don't want to say.
What do you mean chatting to people online?
Particular sorts of people. Like,
Patrick Costello?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I'm going to look that up. I definitely would know about that.
That might have just been a rumour that I made up.
That might have just been a true fact that I heard from somebody.
Patrick Costello suspended. Suspenders.
I don't know why. Patrick Costello chatting online, and or Banjo from the Reddit community the Reddit community or Banjo came up, and it says he's banned from here most online Banjo forums due to his refusal to deal with his mental health. I'm pretty sure that's not our Patrick Costello.
From the Irish Independent.
Okay.
2 Green TDs suspended from the party for 6 months.
Yeah, for 6 months.
That's what I said, suspended. I just said suspended.
Well, this isn't that like just taking the whip away for like 6 months?
I don't know what the whip is, and I don't want to know. What is?
I thought that's what that meant. If you're temporarily suspended. Oh, sorry, you're right. We were both right. I forgot the word expelled. He wasn't expelled from the party. He was suspended.
No,
for 6 months.
About the other thing.
No, suspended is the whip. Something to do with the whip.
I'm talking about the other thing.
This is a great politics podcast, by the way. This is the most informed politics podcast.
Yeah. I wish I could go on Virgin Media. They bring up someone, I'm like, isn't he the fellow who...
By the way, sorry, John McGuirk went on RTE and said that Irigi, I'm not going to learn to pronounce that, Irigi were responsible for Lyra McKee dying and then they being killed and then the being murdered, I should say.
Yeah, and, now who works for Israel?
Yeah, exactly. When a bullet accident, when a bullet entered... No, sorry.
It just feel like trouble happens in conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, like he is as ignorant as we are. Do you know? I would say more so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely more ignorant than us.
Yeah.
More ignorant.
The next thing is a new defence bill, suspensions of military personnel and raft of provisions for foreign missions.
Right, now what's your problem with this?
Wait, am I wrong with this? What did I get with this? I thought this was to do with the triple lock.
What's wrong with that?
Getting rid of the triple lock.
You don't think we should be able to defend ourselves and also invade other places?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
You know, to make money?
And then I have this other subheading within a subheading called Housing versus Data Centres. And it's a great collection of headlines I would just love to read. Government predicted to miss housing targets for next 2 years as rent pressure zone discussions continue. Minister, and then so that's also tying in rent pressure zones, which they're like, we're going to get rid of these things which prevent, which will mean rents absolutely skyrocket in key areas that we've chosen where rents were unnaturally high. Okay. Unnaturally, as if there's anything natural about somebody deciding that a place costs an X amount just because this is the biggest number I could fucking think of.
It's such a masterful stroke as well. Like, to be like it's really about all this current stuff is about the data centers, like you're saying. But it's like there's somehow managed to tie rent pressure zones in.
Well, I guess I wanted to do it in relation to this headline, which is construction of 70 million euro state data centre completed amid tech versus housing row. So, And then Ishka Aaron warns of over-reliance on water from the Liffey. And I guess just pointing out how much we're hearing about Irish water again and how much we're being told, no, look, you won that last one and look where we're at now. Our water infrastructure is falling apart. We're not going to mention data centers. We're going to build data centers. And also we're not going to reach our targets on housing, and we're really sorry about that. And then this I know it's just a bunch of headlines back to back, but they tell a story. Power shortages mean Ireland will have to choose between AI and housing, says senior government official.
What a choice. What a choice.
Just kind of like...
I like to live, but I also like to ask ChatGPT, should I go to therapy?
It's like, okay, we're bringing back Irish water, but we had that discussion. No, and it's coming back, and also you were wrong about that, and also we're building data centers, and also we're going to miss the housing targets, and we're really sorry, and also there will be power shortages.
They never said they were sorry.
Yeah, sorry, they didn't say they're sorry. But it's also for AI. And remember, Micheál Martin went to that conference in Paris about AI and was over during St. Patrick's Day talking to all the fucking tech guys and the new terrain of AI. And he's also been out there defending data centers and saying, like, people, let me fucking get this. Another fucking headline. What it says in the papers with Gareth on Celtic Ligers. What an awful section I used to hate, and now that's literally all I do is read out the headlines and nothing more.
That's what people listen for.
The Business Post says Taoiseach condemns ill-informed debate on data centers. So he's out there like saying like no, we need to get these data centers, and like all the opposition are just, they're always fucking yelling, aren't they?
Yeah. It's funny. It's like it's ill-informed. So if they're informed, they'd agree with me.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah,
and it's like data centers are so useless for the most part. Like, there's always stuff where it's like, oh, they help medicine or whatever, but like 99% of it is like they help Bitcoin or they help like
AI. I mean, that's what they're explicitly saying. They're explicitly saying we need more data centers for AI. And even though all it does is like go, oh, look at this clip, doesn't it look really real? And actually a computer made that using a bunch of other people's intellectual property and and work, okay? And then it's like, but one day it will save us all as long as we keep investing in it, you know? Even though every bit of the investment seems to go to just making everything worse. They're still like, no, but one day the worm will turn and it'll make everything good for some reason.
Yeah. The other thing they're used for is like warfare. You know what I mean? Like they're ramping up, intelligent drones and stuff. And those all need processing. Yeah. I think people really need to start seeing data centers as being a form of extraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, some companies who try to set up a gold mine in the Sperrins, and that like destroys the landscape and removes precious minerals and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think, like, if you're setting up this giant like computer that just burns energy and uses up your water supply and doesn't give you anything back, like that is or it just sells you stuff back. That's extraction. You know what I mean? Like they're using, it's not like they just take up a choice, like, do we want data centers or homes? It's like, they're using up our stuff. Yeah. And we're not getting anything back.
It's also, you're right about them using up the stuff as well. But it's also like, maybe I'm just adding on to the point that you make, where we have like finite amount of resources, and then you're burning all of those resources, which means we have less time. Like they're going like, we'll eventually have enough. We need to keep going for now, and eventually something will happen that means that we can correct all of this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
But then what they're doing is not only are they burning the resources, they're also shortening the amount of time that we have to make decisions to prevent irreparable harm from being done. And they're like, this is actually really good, and actually we'll get like a cure for like cancer. And it's like, if you burn the planet and we have like, I'm not prepared to wait for the cure for cancer at the cost of the rest of the fucking planet, even if that was going to happen, which it's not going to happen, you know?
Like even at a very basic level, the internet's only gotten worse since AI. You know what I mean? Like the internet's become less usable. So even the people who are like, "Oh, you use the internet, don't you?" I was like, "No, it's just clogged with stuff, like with just gibberish." So even the thing that most people think it helps, it's not helping.
Like, I might have talked about this in the past, but I was trying to find, like, I don't know, I'm doing a drawing of like a bald guy for something, do you know?
Yeah.
So you type in like bald man, and you start getting AI generated images of bald men that look nothing like bald men.
We had plenty of pictures of bald men.
I know.
Like there's no shortage of that. Like each one of those pictures took like a liter of water to make.
I know. And you've destroyed the internet. Do you know what I mean? Which was like an actual revolutionary, amazing thing. And you've ruined it. You've destroyed it.
I was going fishing the other day. We were trying to find a spot. And Ronan pulled out ChatGPT. And
just putting him on blast.
Putting him on blast. Well, he loves it. And but like it's not even seen as a controversial thing by most people.
Yeah.
But
you least of all, so you shouldn't be throwing shade.
I don't use it that much. I only use it on the podcast.
I only use it to come up with episodes of The Simpsons.
Yeah, well there aren't enough of those.
Valuable stuff.
Alright, I won't do it again.
You heard it here first, folks.
Nah, I'll do it again. I'll never stop. But it was giving us, it was like where's to fish around this area, and it started making up pubs. You know, it was like near this pub, and the pub didn't exist. It's like, again, you don't have to make up a pub.
I know. I actually had what was it? Jumping ahead a little bit to a topic that's going to be just a big one, I'd say. Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Depends how much you care about Gaza. But the headline, did you ever see this? The Irish MEP who used AI to write open letter about Gaza, which quoted Swedish House Mafia.
Oh, yeah.
Kieran Malooly, a former journalist, also included an emotional story from a fictional girl in Gaza.
I don't see this as the worst thing. Like, it's just stupid. It's just a stupid thing.
Well, he's a stupid, bad man, but I mean, like, can you not find it in your heart to carve some time out of your day to write about Gaza? You had to automate that as well, you know?
Like, he was been pro-Gaza, was he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
It's within the realm of normal idiocy, if you get me.
I mean, I guess it's just while we're talking about AI and how like everything is becoming AI to the point where it's like it's just AI talking to AI and human beings are conduits for AI.
Like it really does. You know, there's that people make the point. It's like the ultimate contradiction is that we've developed AI that now the robots get to make art and music and we get to do all the work. You know?
Yeah.
It's just that. It's like, I managed to outsource my emotions to this machine. And now I get to spend more of the day doing bureaucracy. You know? I've
seen like people do that on like, you know, every post now on Twitter has like at Grok, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Zizek has that thing. And he's like, you go on a date. Have you heard this? You go on a date.
No.
And, she brings her dildo and you bring your fleshlight.
Yeah.
And then you turn them on, you put them in the cupboard. And then you can just talk to your date. You know, because this is sort of a symbolic action has been outsourced. You know, that's what all this is. It's like the content of the thing about Gaza, like obviously matters to us, but in this arena, it doesn't seem to. It's like, oh, I produced the emotional letter about Gaza,
Yeah.
That's sufficient. We can all register that has been done. So, well done me, I guess, you know? See you later. Like, it doesn't matter that it's real or that it's used. You know what I mean? It's just like...
Yeah.
It's been outsourced sufficiently.
Yeah.
And it's just mad that is the bit of life that we're outsourcing, you know?
It's amazing how quick it happened as well, do you know?
Yeah. It's like, again, just over work. Like, saying work... Imagine if I just sent in like a mannequin to sit at my desk.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's sufficient, you know, like...
Yeah.
He can be there and you can just act as if I'm there and I'll live my life. You know, that wouldn't be okay.
Yeah.
But when it's like, oh, I've managed to write this card using AI to wish you a happy birthday. Everyone's like, you know, there's people who will be like, that's great, like it's properly emotional, hits all the right beats. Now you can go and spend more time at work, you know?
Yeah.
Why is the like emotional bit that we're outsourcing?
Yeah.
Like when it comes to that sort of a thing, you might as well. Like he turns up with his. Well, first of all, he doesn't. He turns up, or maybe he doesn't. He emails everybody the emotional letter about Gaza, and then it goes into everyone's emails and it gets read by the spam filter.
Yeah.
And then it's like, great, perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing. It's like, you know, the way that COVID accelerated like a load of different processes, you know?
Like Alzheimer's.
No, like societal stuff, do you know? Like, remember we'd have been in Dublin, I would have been in Dublin in like 2019, and all these places are running on fumes, you know, the arts. And then COVID comes and they're just all destroyed, you know, and everybody moves away. You know, that's just a personal one that happened to me. But there are other examples of like things that were just being run down and COVID allowed them to stick the knife in and just let them all bleed out, you know. AI is like that, but for like atomization, just that everybody was already like, God, social media is making everybody feel more alone. And like but social media age as it was, you were at least talking to another person sometimes on the other end. Now it's like, you know, now it's like they're encouraging this. They're like, the guy who created Facebook, that kind of, you know, you could like say like Cambridge Analytica and all the data that they took to swing the vote for Brexit. Although, I mean, maybe it was just Brexit's time because people felt let down by the elites and we're still recovering from the recession. Still are, the Great Recession of 2008. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, Facebook is not a positive thing. It's like a thing that has basically made every old person insane. Okay.
I think it's more obvious with the old people, but it has just made everyone insane.
Yeah. And then Zuckerberg goes out there and goes, oh, yeah, that thing that I made that made everybody insane. And he goes, I think that AI could be people's friends. And we can cut that out now as well. And you're like, haven't you done enough damage? Can you just leave? You know?
Yeah, but the way he said it really fits into this because he was like, I can't remember the numbers, but he was like, the average person, they say, needs 15 friends.
Yeah.
But in real life, they have 4.
Yeah.
They have 3. So hopefully Facebook AI can take the place of those 12, of that gap. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it literally is him being like, you can automate your friendships so you can spend more time at work. Like, there's no, he's not saying we need to sort out work-life balance so people have more friends. He's saying, let's automate the friends so we can maintain the work-life balance.
Yeah. Also a fundamental misunderstanding of friends, you know?
Yeah.
It's like...
Welbeck has a book called Atomization. And it's about a guy who like turns up to he's really trying to have sex, but he just masturbates all the time, you know?
Yeah.
It's sort of the same thing of like, he's so distant from reality that when he's like confronted with actual sex, he'd rather like masturbate, because it's like, it's just as, it's like a symbolic way of fulfilling the desire.
Yeah.
You know? That's what all this stuff is. Like, it's mad how we've just been like trapped like this.
It's funny, you were the last person I expected to be a masturbation hater on this podcast. Just kidding.
The ultimate hypocrisy.
Yeah.
When he's masturbating to porn, I think.
This is why we've fallen out. This is why the podcast ended on
that's why
June
fishing
4th,
is good. You know what I mean?
2025. Yeah. James is being fish-pilled. Let's bring back saying pilled at the end of everything, huh?
Because you have to turn up fishing rod in hand. Like, there's no distance from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You catch the bloody fish, you bash its head in, you leave it on the side of the road when you're driving home.
I don't like fish, don't like the taste. I just wanted to kill something.
Yeah. I hate, this is my, now I'm a fisherman, I bloody hate this now. Catch and release.
Why?
Well, like, when you eat the fish, you're getting something out of it. Catch and release, you're like, imagine you were going down the side of the road and some guy like sticks a hook in you, drags you. You like drag a fish out of the water by a hook in his throat.
Yeah.
And then you take the hook out and you throw the fish back into the water.
Yeah.
It's like, why'd you do that? No reason. Like, I just was having a good time.
But you do eat the fish. Is that what you're telling me?
Not if you do catch and release.
No, I know, but you eat the fish. I just didn't know you ate
I would
fish.
if I caught one. I haven't caught one yet, but I would eat it.
Look, just, you don't have to catch a fish to be a fisherman, okay?
I think you do. That's the awful thing about it. Maybe I should just play. So maybe I should get like a VR headset.
Yeah,
and you go down to the side of the
boss. I'm sitting on a boat with my buds.
Yeah, you go down to the river, but there's no water in the river because there's a data center down the road, and you just like are fishing, and you're like catching all these fish.
Yeah,
and you're slowly starving to death because it gives the illusion that you're eating them.
And the AI generated bud, your AI generated bud, Mark Zuckerberg sitting next to you. By the way, did you see this? You know, Patrick Collison of the Collisons fame, he was saying he wanted an AI that could act like a little voice in his head, in his ear, and he would be walking somewhere and it'd be telling him interesting facts about the areas that he was walking.
Great.
And I said, I wish you did have a voice in your ear, and I wish you listened to it. Did you see the AI generated so like one of the first to ever do this was what the fuck is his name? James Earl Jones. He signed away the rights to his voice, okay?
Right.
So back during Rogue One, and then even in the Lion King movie, they were using an AI with James Earl Jones' voice to recreate his voice for these movies. The live action, the more recent Lion King one with CGI. But anyway, I guess they managed to get that voice for Fortnite. So Darth Vader is now able to talk to you using AI. And so all of these people, and I don't know whether it's still up there, but loads of videos of everybody. It's not supposed to be able to say these words, but they figure out ways to get him to say those words, you know?
Right.
And you're like, you just kind of think like, James Earl Jones, and then, you know, I hope your family elder abused you into this. Because
I hope you're in hell. Like, if you do this knowingly, I hope you're in hell. You deserve everything in it.
you deserve everything that this is doing to your legacy of, having, Darth Vader say the F slur and, the N word and all this shit.
Yeah. Because the thing is, for us, when you're using this stuff, it's not even like hell. It is just purgatory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're sitting on the boat with the robot friends, it's not hell because they're not torturing you, but it isn't heaven because it's shit. It's just like, this is it forever. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't seen any real person in 6 months. And I was sick of these robots talking about like even the facts they'd be giving you. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
It would just be like Reddit facts.
The AI therapist thing is the one that really upsets me, where it's kind of like, but you know that they're not real. You know what I mean?
I'm anti-therapy now, so I like it.
Well.
As long as it puts them out
I love that. Just the first bit of pushback you receive. We're done here. Tell me to make a budget, will you?
I thought you were here to enable me, not to challenge me.
But yeah, leading up to the biggest hypocrisy of all of the thing, the Occupied Territories Bill. Because that's where we were heading. Because I was under my rogue Irish government subheading.
Yeah.
But the big, massive heading is the Occupied Territories Bill, which they're like, great news, everybody, is going to draft stage this week. And it's going to exclude services, which apparently make up 83% of the stuff that we trade with Israel, is services. So they're like, it's not watered down. It's simply that we can't do anything about services because of the EU for some reason.
That's the end of the free bit. To hear the rest, go to patreon.com/CelticLigers, where the Ligers talk about the watered down Occupied Territories Bill, Micheál Martin giving out about Gar's beloved mother, Gerry Adams wins BBC court case, and to cap it off, second week in a row, Mick Clifford spews some mad shite which simpled must be documented.